Hello everyone, this is Kathleen at Be Again Books, and I am so pleased today to be able to show you this beautiful journal. I think this is one of the most favorite journals I've ever made, and I'm glad she's done. I was able to please myself this time. Some months ago, I was invited by Lidia at Raindrop Lila on Etsy to use one of her kits in a guest design project. And so I was able to look at all of her designs, and I chose Timeless Beauty. I have looked at her designs for some time and have used one or two actually before, but this time I just had a vision in my mind of a kind of old-fashioned, shabby elegance. Not shabby chic necessarily, but just this elegant, old, worn out, torn wallpaper, attic kind of mood or aesthetic in my mind. And this Timeless Beauty, I think, just really allowed me to achieve this vision that I had. So I'm going to put a link below for the digitals that I've used in this journal, and you can go on to Raindrop Lila and see what Lidia has that you might like. I just want to give you some information ahead of time. This is 3 signatures, and it is chunky. I have done 3 signatures before. I've used my favorite Reader's Digest recycled books. The spine is about 1.5 inches, so it's one of the thicker ones. And I've just used this pretty, really antique lace to cover the spine. Done my usual button and bead closure with this pretty collage on the front. It has 180 pages, which is not unusual for one of my journals that are 3 signatures, but it has 40 pockets and tucks and 47 pieces of ephemera, and it weighs 1.5 pounds. So this is honestly a chunky, heavily decorated journal. I just kind of, as I said, I pleased myself and went all out. I did decide in the end I'm going to list it on Etsy. It's going to be a little bit more expensive just because of the amount of decoration and ephemera that is included in it. A lot of material and lace and that kind of thing. Let me show you what's inside. This was actually the image that kind of defined in my mind what I wanted to do. Here's the initial page. I just think this image of this woman is stunning. I wanted to let her be the focal point. I did put this little tucked ribbon here as an embellishment. On this side, I have done a double pocket and used one of the little labels in the kit as an embellishment here with some brads. I've made this just simple journal card here, and one of the simple fancy folds. I just used the images from the kit, and I have throughout the journal used quite a few of those little Tim Holtz sayings. Can't remember what they're called, but yeah, I'm pretty fussy about this journal. I just love it. Here's one of the images, this large lace. This is a vintage paper. It's very sturdy parchment kind of paper. William Wallace is the sales manager at the Lamb Glass Company. Yeah, another image from the kit. She has several background patterns, images. Here I've used one of these pockets. I did a video on this a while ago. It will be in the pocket playlist. And then I kind of used her design style to make ephemera. So I've used images and arranged them on the papers to kind of mimic the style in this kit. Some vintage stationery, music manuscript, some vintage book page. Here's another. This is the style I'm talking about, her layering. I think that's one of the things I love about Lydia's kits are she uses a lot of layering in her designs. So this is definitely a writing journal. Here's a little paper clip with a sari silk bow. It flips out. It does some collage here. Here's a pocket with some vintage calendar page. And the paper clip just kind of keeps that closed. And on this side forms another pocket. I've used some die cuts. This is a vintage stationery, very textural, almost like parchment. Some ribbon through there. This is just a piece of an interleaving sheet, tissue sheet, and I have folded it up to make a pocket. And then this is just a tag that I've made, some texture, distress ink, and with some stamping. Vintage book pamphlet cover for an opera. Isn't that beautiful? And this is, again, one of those altered envelopes. I think it's in the pocket playlist, how to do that. And some stamping and an altered collage here. Again, I just have tried to sort of mimic the way she has her designs. Here's the other side of that interleaving tissue, and I just did a little bit of distress stamping with where you stamp using distress ink and then spray it, just a fine spray on the stamp before you stamp it. That's the way I did that. So the ink, the water begins to interact on the stamp before it stamps. And I think that turned out really well. Here is just a little layered image. This is an image from the kit, and just some other little collage things I've made. This is a little button envelope, and I've tied it shut. There are some tickets inside, and vintage note paper. Some washi tape. Here is another of the images from the background pages, the layouts, and I just have found this little gold charm with a vintage button and some ruffled silk there. Some washi tape. This colors kind of match with this design from the kit. And just a couple of pieces of vintage ephemera. We're going back through these writing pages. Isn't that a pretty image? Some lace there, and I love the way that layers up with the ruffle on this side. Some stamping. Here I've made just a little masterboard corner pocket with some of the scraps from the papers, embossed index card, and some hand dyeing there. On this side, I have just made used a doily and made a cluster tuck here with the images layered from the kit, and this is just a scrap from some scrapbook paper that matched. Here I've used a vintage envelope and tucked the letter that was inside, my sweetheart from Buttercup, and it has a blank on the back, so that can be used for journaling. And it just slides back inside the envelope, and then behind I just have some correspondence, a little note, vintage, from someone. On this side, again, I've tried to mimic Lidia's style in this layered collage here, and piece of vintage lace, little ticket tucks in there. This is just the picture of Van Gogh, and I've just embellished it a little with some paint splatter and some washi tape, so it's just blank on the back. Here is one of my layered shorts, and this is a vintage flyleaf from a book, vintage book. Reinforced this there. Flowers of America, vintage book page, and tea dyed paper. This is one of the, this is from Nancy's envelope. I have a video about how to make this too, and it's in the pocket playlist. Yeah, that's an idea from Nancy Piter. And it has these two little fold-up pockets with just some Tim Holtz ephemera in there. And here's the other side next to some vintage ledger paper. And this is an over-the-page flip. So journaling here on the back, and a couple of simple collages, some lace here on the bottom, just pins there at the top, some pretty lace on these pages, Jemima Puddle Duck, some vintage, I don't know what kind of paper it is, but it's aged. And I love this. I love these flowers. You know, green, as I've mentioned before, is my favorite color, and I just loved these images. Some of the wallpaper image in the simple collage, a sticker of the rose, and then this flips up and down for journaling. Just holds that together. Here's just a little journal paper. Again, in the center here, here's some really fragile vintage lace, and I've done just a little layered centerpiece. Plenty of room for writing. Here's a little glassine bag, tea dyed, and just a plain tag. Write a quote or thought, and another little, this can either tuck in there as well or tuck behind. Here's the other side of these beautiful papers. This is from a vintage calendar, 1941. And I've just made a tuck there, vintage score sheet. This is a fancy fold. I just have a little die cut there in the pocket, and a little distressed paint chip. And this unfolds into a large journaling paper. So you just fold it over, fold this up, fold this down, and then this tucks in there like that. And then I just have glued just this little pocket here. So that's not right. This must fold like that, I guess. Yeah, and then this tucks in here, and this tucks in here. And then I just have another paper clip to clip it on the page. This is a wraparound element with a pocket here on the inside. It's just one of the page images from the kit. And then I just have wrapped it around here. So this is the way that the image looked, and I just folded it in half, made a pocket, and then clip it here with, this is just a rusted paper clip. Some other silky ruffle. And I just love the way this all layers going down, kind of a waterfall. One of the images, she has, I think, one page of 4 journal cards, and I just enlarged them a little bit, put some washi tape. So that's one of them. There's the other side of this pretty shorts ensemble. This is a vintage book from Reader's Digest, and I just did some texture paste on it, and that just clips here to this page. This is one of those Z fold outs. We've done a little collage here on the side, and then it folds in like this, and then this side then creates, so it's a Z. And this side creates a pocket there, and then it folds here. And then I have this clip to just kind of keep it all together. This is a vintage postcard, 1953. And I just loved those green stamps. I did a little collage here, and then just tuck this little vintage calendar, one of the background pages. Here's that pretty lace image that I've made into a wraparound pocket, and done a little collage on both sides. This side has a vintage postcard, 1924. And this side, I've just taken some of my Japanese handmade mulberry paper and done a little texture paste there. And just put that there. Some vintage stationery, a little bit of lace and trim. On this side, I've used a quarter of this worn out hanky. It's beautiful, with this lovely, just gorgeous handmade tatting edge. I just think that is just exquisite. And the Bell Telephone Company, a bill from 1940. $4.20. A little bit of ribbon through that page. Another one of Lydia's pretty layered designs. And on this side, I just have an altered paper clip and one of her journal cards. some more fancy ribbon through this page. This is from a vintage book on friendship, so all of the quotes are about friendship. Here's another one of those pretty images, and I've just done a little collage, some washi tape and bird sticker. I have tried to just make it very distressed. You know, I wet the edges, so there's some intentional water damage there. And yeah, this is from the Elks Club, an invoice of some kind, but it's beautifully stained. Yeah, has a lovely aged patina that just fits perfectly there. And here is an embossed window envelope. And I've made a napkin decoupage, little altered guest check to go between. Here's one of a kind. Yeah, let's stick that right there so that the bird peeks out. Another of the kit's beautiful layered images. And so this is the image that I just loved, and that inspired really my mood for this journal. And so I didn't want to interfere with these pages at all. I just think that is so beautiful. And so I just made this little altered paper clip to kind of go on this side, sort of balances this image here in the corner, but I love that. Here's the other side. This is another one of the journal cards, and with a vintage playing card. This is another, you know, I just kind of tried again to mimic the style that Lidia has used in her cards and papers. And so I've just made this little layered tag. It's a cluster, and put another little cluster on the top. Just goes on and on and on. I love this. It just looks so worn out and like an abandoned house. I just love the aesthetic of that. A piece of vintage ephemera and a vintage recipe for 7-Up cake. More beautiful images. Lace. On this one, I have woven some chenille yarn through there. And again, I just love that waterfall effect at the edge. Very deliberate on my part, I have to tell you. It's a vintage check, blank. And on this side, there is this really fragile, delicate tissue. That's what it is. It's just tissue. It must have been in the middle of a carbon somehow. But lots of room there to write if you're careful. And so this just is a folded up. Again, lots of room to journal here. And I just folded that down and created the collage, and then it wraps around this page. And then I have it pinned. This is that same ruffle, just an edge. Creates a little bow for that. And this is the last pocket element. We have vintage notepad paper. I've got a couple of receipts inside, and I've just made this little coin envelope from that, again, that same image that I just love. And so a little tuck and then a pocket here. And here's the last inside cover. So there she is, timeless beauty. And I just love it. I hope someone loves it as much as I do. Thanks so much. I'll put a link to the Etsy listing in the description box. I appreciate your time today, and we'll see you again with a new project.